Let's start this video over again. So Patty had a little scare this morning. I told her, hey, bring extra gear because in this cold weather, sometimes vehicles don't want to act right. And sure shit, we didn't even get around the block and her vehicle died on her. So she called me and I took it around the block. Could have been water and a gas line, anything. Could have been a multitude of other things. So I had to go around and we might be a little late now for our job that we're supposed to get to, but I'm sure they'll understand. So what I was talking about is I haven't always been the most liked individual growing up, and you know, I thought something was wrong with me, and I'm not saying something's wrong with anybody else either, right? I think we all got a couple screws loose, right? Kind of gotta to make it in the world like this, but I always thought it was something was off with me, and it's just not true. What I found out is a lot of people in life don't really want to hear the truth. They want a pandering individual to go along with their narrative and their excuse making of why they couldn't do this or couldn't do that in life, right? That's what it really boils down to. And the reason I believe that is because I've met people of all walks of life, all genders, all religion backgrounds, all whatever, that have become very successful in life and whatever that means to you, right? Maybe they're just happy and joyful. They're loving life, they're enjoying life, maybe it's their finances, maybe it's a combination of them all. But what I've realized is living for 44 years of my life, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay, right? This is kind of around the unity thing I was talking about. That still doesn't mean that I don't love those people that I'm not their cup of tea. I still have love for them, they're part of humanity, as we all should. We don't, though, it's evident all over online, but the truth is not everybody likes honesty. Not everybody likes sheer honesty, and you can just tell that through people's attitudes. You should be able to talk to somebody in about 5 minutes and 10 minutes and see if they're going to be your cup of tea, pretty much, right? So I made a post about that earlier, and that isn't a wham me. Like I don't need a bunch of people to like me. Those that do, I love and value a lot, and those that don't, I learn from, right? So, and I learned from them both actually, so it's not a big deal. What I was just trying to get at is if you're in that situation in life where you're a truth teller, maybe you have visions and dreams and whatever else, right? You're not going to have everybody like you, and that's okay. I've learned that probably more over this past 5 years than I have any years of my life. And I wish I would have knew that a lot sooner. I would have probably been eons ahead of where I am today. But I didn't think that way then. So yeah, one thing I've learned in 44 years is most people don't want to hear the truth. That's not saying you. I mean, if you relate to most people, I mean, whatever. That's not a big deal. What I've learned is we in life fabricate a story of our life and our outcome, when in all actuality, a lot of the times it's just a fabricated story, and those individuals want you to go along with it. I'm not that guy. I'll say, no, you could have easily did this, or you could have did that, or you could have made this different. And this is coming from an individual that made a lot of poor choices as I was growing up. I made a lot of poor choices and bad decisions that left me with heavy consequences, which I deserved. But I don't regret those. Those actually forged me into the individual I am today. And it forged me into the relationships I have with people today that I never had before. So I wouldn't erase those bad choices for nothing. And some of you guys be like, well, why wouldn't you? Well, because it taught me two different ways of life, what to do and what not to do in life. I learned the hard way. I was the kid that didn't just touch the stove one time and say, shit, that's hot, and not touch it again. I went back there and touched it again just to see and make sure that it was hot again, right? I was that guy. I didn't learn the first time. Slow learner, if you would say, right? But I've learned that, and I learned it's okay. You don't need mass amounts of people to like you. As long as you love you and you like you, the right individuals will attract to you. We attract people hate hearing this because they really do, but it's a truthful statement. people really hate to hear this, especially those that's been in abusive relationships. And you know, my heart goes out to you that have been in them. But 99.9% of the time, we attract who we are. I'm not saying you're an abusive individual, but you avoided the red flags, right? Everybody's got red flags. We've all known it. We've all been in relationships where we've seen red flags and we avoided them over lust or whatever it was. And then they came out to bite us in our ass later on in life. And then we wanted to blame that individual. When in all actuality, we made the choice to surround ourselves with that individual. And they're pretty much just a direct reflection of how we feel about ourselves. And that's hard for a lot of people to stomach, that they want to point the finger at the other individual in the relationship or whatever, when in all actuality, we all have a choice of who we're with and who we're not with. So maybe pay a little more attention to the red flags. I'm telling you. Pay attention to the red flags. They matter. So yeah, it's going to be a great day. I enjoy talking about things like this because this is my real life. This has been my real life. And the problem that I found was in life is I continued to think something was wrong with you. Look, if you think this way, nothing's wrong with you. If you think the other way, nothing's wrong with you. It's just who you are, right? But here's another great analogy. You ever hear the excuse of somebody, you know, maybe their wife's yelling at them about this, or the husband's yelling at the wife over this, or whatever, something they do that drives them nuts. And they say, well, this is just who I am. Accept me for who I am. You don't have to accept bad behaviors. You don't have to accept things that are not aligned with your boundaries. You don't have to do that. Nope, you don't. And that's just an excuse for individuals to deflect the accountability away from them and try to put it onto the other person. Matter of fact, that's kind of narcissistic. That's been a real big word for the past 6 years, right? Right. That's kind of narcissistic, actually. It really is. So you don't have to accept people for who they are. That's the great thing about individuality in this country, is you get to set the boundaries in your life and only accept people that align with those boundaries. I don't care if it's your father. I don't care if it's your mother. I don't care if it's your aunt, your uncle. I don't care who it is. You get to set the boundaries that you're willing to accept in your life and not accept. The problem is a lot of people accept a lot of things that cross their boundaries and they don't say anything, or they don't do anything, or they don't hold that individual accountable for their actions that they caused crossing your boundaries. Now, you could look at that a multitude of different ways, and it's not up to anybody to align inside your boundaries. It's up to you to hold those boundaries so the right people come into our lives. My circle is small, and I like it that way. My circle of friends, acquaintances, are very valuable. They're high-value relationships, and that's what matters to me. I would much rather have 2 high-value relationships as friends opposed to 200 ones that are stabbing me in my back. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I would. To me, it's about quality in life of everything. Everything's about quality, not quantity. Although others want it the other way around. They want to be liked by everybody. I know that because I used to be that individual. I wanted to be liked by every single person and not be challenged or anything like that on what I stand for. And to be honest with you, that creates a miserable life. I created a lot of misery in my life by wanting to be liked by all the wrong people. So it is none of our obligation to have other people like us. Like, it's a really lot of stupid wasted energy. If you really think about it, it is a lot of very big time wasted energy when you're trying to get other people to like you. That's first of all, it's not possible. You just got to be you, right? And that ain't saying be you and you're committing all kinds of crimes and doing stupid stuff that should be tolerable. Use common sense, right? So that's kind of what that post was about today. Is I do have a lot of people that used to surround themselves with me that no longer surround themselves with me because I hold the line. And I will tell people if they're fabricating a lie, I'll be like, that's bullshit. That's not how that went. And people don't like that. Like, aha, look, people don't like you calling out their fabricated stories. They just don't like it. So, you know, there's that. I would rather be surrounded by few than many. 100%. We just fortunately have been surrounded by a lot of great people, especially this past 5 years. That is a blessing. I learned loving yourself and becoming your genuine, authentic self day in and day out gets you around the people that you truly want to be around anyways. Being a carbon copy of somebody else or trying to fit in and agreeing with people because that's what they believe in, it's never going to get you the relationships you want. The weather is cold. It's cold. So yeah, that's one thing I found out in life over this past 5 years is it's okay to not be liked by everybody. That's probably some of the most growth I've made in this past 10 years of my life. Right there. And it sounds so simple, right? And a lot of you guys are like, I've been that way all my life, right? And that's great. That's great. It was a struggle for me. For some reason, I seek acceptance from other people. For whatever reason that was. Maybe it's because I thought something was wrong with me, because I want to call people on, lies or whatever. I don't know what it was. But I know this. The most value I've gained in my life has been the past 10 years. So the 34 years prior to that, I grew very little. And I've changed all my core beliefs and what I believe in and what I stand on in people and what's acceptable in my life. So for 34 years, it was a waste. So if you find yourself trying to seek acceptance from others, just stop and be you. And if you, which we all do, need a little tweaking and need a little refined and a little work done, as we all do, focus on that, opposed to trying to get Tina's friendship or Tom's friendship over here. The hell with them people. Just focus on you, and the relationships will attract themselves to you. That's a beautiful thing. You want better relationships? Focus on you. I love you guys all. Have a blessed day.